The Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, everybody? Happy freaking Friday, and welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS preview show. I am your host, James Grande. I am riding solo for today's show. John and Pemba will be back for the 5 p.m. live stream, but I am going to record this podcast preview show for the DraftKings main slate all by myself. All by myself. So, for today's slate, we have 6 games on the main slate, kicking off at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. 8 p.m. is the late night window. There is a 4-game slate that's kicking off at 10 p.m., which is obviously a very intriguing thing in its own right. I know John spoke to me yesterday, I believe, and he got a uh, a survey from DraftKings saying that they were asking if anytime there's 6 games or more, they're going to cut off the late night window. So keep that in mind. It's going to be something that we've already been dealing with, but something that we're going to continue to deal with moving forward. So again, keep that in mind moving forward. But 6 games on the main slate, and I'll flash the DraftKings slate up now. And we have the Toronto Raptors on the second leg of a back-to-back taking on the Atlanta Hawks. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers on the second leg of a back-to-back taking on Philadelphia. They're also on a back-to-back. So we have Toronto on a back-to-back, Cleveland on a back-to-back, Philly on a back-to-back, the Clippers on a back-to-back, Washington and OKC both on back-to-backs, the Pelicans on back-to-backs, Phoenix and Houston. So, basically everybody, with the exception of Atlanta, Memphis, and Miami. Those are the only 3 teams not on the second legs of back-to-backs. When we head over to Las Vegas to look at some game totals and spreads, Toronto Atlanta is a 244.5. That's Atlanta giving Toronto 6.5 points at home. Washington OKC 241.5. OKC giving Washington 15 points at home. That's like it for the notable game totals on this main slate. The other couple games are all in the 220s, so nothing really standing out all that much. New Orleans being 3-point home favorites, Zion on a back-to-back. We'll see if he plays. So there's a lot of intrigue there, obviously. As you guys know, we'll do position by position breakdowns here on pretty much anything that's like more than 4 games. Just looking at the player pool, one singular player over 10K. That is going to be interesting as we get into our breakdown. So let's get into the point guard position here. SGA at the top, 10-9. Anytime you want to play SGA, by all means, do it. He took Norman Powell's soul. I don't know if anyone saw the move that he pulled on Norman Powell on the Thursday slate, but if you haven't, go see that one. It was a wonderful move. But SGA 10-9 can definitely get there. Elite spot. It's just, the one thing we have to worry about here. Will Washington, on the second leg of a back-to-back after playing in Denver, keep the game competitive, right? That's obviously the primary concern. Definitely can get to Devin Booker. What was the status update on Bradley Beal? The status update on Bradley Beal was unlikely to play on Friday, I believe, was the verbiage that we got from Underdog. Let's see. Bradley Beal. Unlikely to play Friday. So it looks like we're going to have no Bradley Beal again. Can definitely get to some Devin Booker. He was much better in the game against Dallas after the ejection in the game before the break. So you can get to Booker. We'll see if Mitchell plays. He sat out on Thursday night. We'll see if he's going to play Friday, but 9,500 obviously a good price, and we'll see how they being Cleveland handles the back-to-back situation with Garland and Mobley. They have been playing back-to-backs, but we'll see especially if Mitchell can overcome this illness. I like Trae Young 94 quite a bit. Obviously wasn't the best before the break, struggled shooting, but we saw this earlier in the year. his price for no reason took a tumble, and then suddenly we saw Trae Young like hit a stride, and all of a sudden 27 and 11 per game. Great spot against Toronto. We've talked about this a lot on this show. Toronto is a bad defensive team now that they no longer have OG Anunoby, and they also play at a pretty fast pace. So it's a really good game environment. That's why you saw the game total what it is. It's an elite game environment. So if you want to get to Trae Young at 9,400, by all means do so. Really tough spot for Maxi. He's coming off a really good game. He had I think 40 actual is what he finished with in that one. So like no problems getting to Tyrese Maxey at all. It's just obviously Cleveland, right? Cleveland's a really good defensive team. So don't need to do it. Harden on a back to back. We'll see if somebody sits for the Clippers on the second leg. Going into Memphis seems like a spot that there could be potential rest, but also they're coming off the All-Star break. So a lot of rest involved in that. Sub, as we continue down the point guard list, Scotty Barnes, 88, DeJounte Murray, 75, McCollum, 73. We'll see what happens with the Pelicans. As we know, there was no Brandon Ingram on Thursday. Obviously, if his illness persists into Friday, there's a chance that he doesn't play again. And also, we've seen Zion sit back to backs as well. So there is definitely a chance that McCollum could have the team by himself. There's always also a chance McCollum coming off 31 minutes. He had 28, 6, and 6 and hit 4 threes. Like really good game. Played 31 minutes. Always a chance he sits on the second leg of a back to back. Obviously, he's a seasoned vet. New Orleans does need to win in the Western Conference, right? The standings in the West are nuts, and we're going to talk about that throughout the rest of the season, how closely competitive is. So, if you want to get to McCollum 73, by all means you can. If there's somebody out, like obviously that bodes well for them. Tyler Hero, dealing with a foot issue, definitely like concerning if he doesn't play. I mean, there's going to be some value to like for Miami, so keep an eye out on Hero. Second leg of a back to back for Houston. Jalen Green, really good spot for Emmanuel Quickly. If you want to get to Quickly, let's see what they blew Brooklyn out. Quickly had really good game. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, made 5 threes in 33 minutes. And you have to assume a little limited because of the blowout too. So Emmanuel Quickly, someone who can play upper 30s minutes, 6,900, nice, really good price. Like Quickly a lot in that Atlanta spot. Van Vliet on the second leg of a back-to-back. Interesting at home. Also interesting to see how they handle Van Vliet on the second leg of a back-to-back, because if he doesn't play, I mean, we have Amen Thompson, who had a great game off the bench for Houston on Thursday. So if there's no Van Vliet in this game, be considering it's the second leg of a back-to-back, I'm definitely going to get there. Really, really hard not to go to Garland if there's no Mitchell. He had a very slow first half on Thursday, ended up with 40 DraftKings points, 18 points, 18-point double-double. Philly's been a pretty bad defensive team since Joel Embiid went down. So if Garland 6,300, if that's where you land, you're not going to be the only one, especially if Mitchell's out. So I like Garland quite a bit. Next tier of guys, like Tyus Jones, 6,100, second leg of a back-to-back. He has been really good in the assist categories. I mean, 15, 16 leading into the break. Right now, into the fourth quarter, I mean, that game is an absolute nuking. It has become an absolute blowout. But Tyus Jones, 11 assists in that game. So, on third straight game with double-digit assists, if Washington continues to make shots, then Tyus Jones could feast $6,100. Westbrook, GPPs, Giddy, second leg of a back-to-back, really good spot. But GPPs, especially with the Gordon Hayward edition, we don't that rotation just more muddied up than normal. What is the Memphis situation here? Who is out? Okay, so Scottie Pippen's out. We have Derrick Rose active. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the injury. Let's see if we have an updated injury report here, because there's a chance Memphis goes into this game with just Goodwin and Rose as their point guards. Let's see if we have something for the Memphis injury report. Memphis, Desmond Bain out, Clark out, Jackson out, Laravia out, Morant out, Smart out, Pippen out. So looks like Gilliard's going to be active. If Jordan Goodwin were to start, I wouldn't hate it. 24 and 29 minutes, 22 and 27 fantasy points, but there is the Derrick Rose factor here. Derrick Rose being in obviously doesn't hurt or doesn't help Jordan Goodwin's minutes. Also, the rest of the guard room is pretty healthy, so probably can't get to Goodwin unless he's starting and we have some confirmation of minutes. Kyle Lowry played 25 minutes in his debut. You don't see it here, but he did play 25 minutes off the bench. Was pretty good. Probably not going to get there against Cleveland, but it is good to see the $4,200 price tag and the minutes. Worth mentioning, D'Anthony Melton likely to return, so that could obviously cut into his time. I don't see anything else, so let's go to shooting guard. Where Devin Booker tops the list. Bunch of guys we've already talked about. Booker, Mitchell, we've talked about. Obviously, if Brandon Ingram plays and like Zion were to sit or McCollum were to sit, that would be highly intriguing. We know when one of Ingram or one of Zion or one of Zion or one of McCollum are out. When somebody's out, the other two both have big games. And that's what we saw on Thursday. Zion had a big game. McCollum had a big game. Even Valanciunas had a big game. If Ingram sits and it's status quo with the same lineup, obviously McCollum, Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Valanciunas would really stick out like sore thumbs. Paul George, 8,100, also another guy that could benefit if someone were to sit, but 8,100 is a solid price tag. Nothing that I'm like need to play, but also something that I'd be willing to play as well. So 8,100 for Paul George is fine. Love that they boosted Vince Williams to 7K because that's the price he probably should be. As long as the guys like Desmond Bain and Marcus Smart are out, I'm probably not going to pay it. It's a really tough spot, but love the minutes, love the peripheral stats, love the scoring. Shout out Vince Pale, Lunch Pail Vince Williams. He has been incredible. Memphis, low key, one of the best drafts this past year. Just going to say that. Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams in the second round. Hello. Great draft for Memphis. You don't see that much talent in the second round very often. So salute to Vince Williams. Not going to play him here. Buddy Hield had another decent game, 6,700 against Cleveland though. Get a pass. Kelly Oubre had a really good game off the bench if you want to go there, but likelihood of D'Anthony Melton playing definitely muddies up the waters a little bit on like what Philly's rotation is gonna be. So I'm probably not so much intrigued by Oubre, just acknowledging that he had a good game on Thursday. Um, let's see. Moving down into the 5K tier. I mean, obviously, if someone sits, Trey Murphy played another 30 plus minutes on Thursday. He's going to start. He's definitely been better of late. Went into the break, 230 fantasy point games in his last three. Probably got to 30. If I had to guess, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but he did have like double digits points, had 5 blocks and steals as well. So if you want to get to Trey Murphy, sure. Zaire coming off the big game, but fully healthy Memphis team, he probably goes back to the bench if I had to assume. So probably not going to get to Zaire Williams unless he's starting. Same thing goes for Kennard. I do like the minutes for Kennard though, 29 and 30 in the last two games he played. So if you want to get to Luke Kennard, that's okay. Can definitely get to Eric Gordon at 4,800. Eric Gordon started on Thursday and he played 35 minutes, 16 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block, 4 made threes. 4,800, not bad on the second leg of a back to back. If you want to get there, you can play Cam Whitmore if you think that game's going to blow out at all. He got all the blowout run. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Norm Powell just for John's sake, because John would probably listen back and be mad that I didn't mention Norm Powell. But you can play Norm. Washington started Bilal Coulibaly on Thursday. I'd be interested to see if they would go back to something like that. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they wouldn't. But if they were to go back to a Coulibaly starting lineup over Jordan Poole, I wouldn't hate it. But he's done absolutely nothing against Denver. That is the life of Bilal Coulibaly. very young prospect that was a defensive-minded player first. So if you want to get to Koulibaly, if he's starting again, you can. But I think that's it here at shooting guard. So let's shift to small forward. Um, at the top, Scotty Barnes, we've talked about. You could definitely get to some Scotty Barnes if you want. $8,800, fine. Nothing like I'm a little indifferent about. Kawhi 87 can definitely go if he plays on the second leg, go back to back. I know he had a little bit of an abductor strain prior to the break. He played in the All Star game, played on Thursday. If you want to get to Kawhi, you can. Mention Paul George. I just, you know, I think the Buddy Hield acquisition did not help Tobias Harris and his fantasy value here. So I'm probably not in on Toby at 7,800 because there's going to be nights where if Buddy Hield has it going like he's had most of his Philly tenure, there's just going to be nights where he's not playing. So or he's the third option again. So I'm kind of out on Tobias Harris at that price. I'm definitely intrigued by Jimmy Butler. He's coming off some really good games pre-injury or not injury. He had a personal matter. I believe there was a death in the family, so hopefully Jimmy and his family have had some time to heal, and he gets back and his can get his mind off that, and basketball helps him a little bit. But he's coming off really good games in the previous two that he's played, and 7,700, possibly no hero. We already know the news. Terry Rozier is out. No Tyler Hero, no Josh Richardson. Those are, potentially three of their top seven. So Jimmy Butler 7,700. I know New Orleans is a pretty tough spot. He's going to probably get the Herb Jones treatment, and that's obviously not fun for anybody. But I'd be okay getting Jimmy at 77. Same thing, RJ 69. As we shift our focus back down to the 6K tier, I think RJ Barrett's super safe, especially against Atlanta. It's a really good spot. So if you want to get to some RJ Barrett, do so. The rest of the 6K tier, Denny 68, not like my favorite price. I already mentioned the same thing with Heald and Oubre. Sadiq Bey is still playing 30s in terms of minutes. Probably lost out some time in the Charlotte game due to the blowout. They lost by 23. He only played 32 minutes. He's playing upwards of 40 in competitive games. So 5,900 is not the best price tag, but it's a great game environment. I'd be okay getting to Grayson Allen without Bradley Beal, who again is unlikely to play. So Grayson Allen in play. I mean, Gordon Hayward played, but did he play? He played 14 minutes. So that looks like it's going to be a slow work, a slow burn for the Hayward minutes. I'm not sure when he's going to get full complement, but I'm staying away from the Gordon Hayward 5,300. Jaime Jaquez Jr. 5,100. He came off the bench. Probably can't get there with Jimmy back, but if you want to get to Jaime Jaquez, he's gonna be in the rotation. He's gonna play probably mid to upper 20s minutes, but I feel like there's probably better bang for your buck. Someone like a DeAndre Hunter, 4,900. I mean, this is a guy who's started and played big minutes, and you know, like there's a chance that their backup center is their starting power forward in Jalen Johnson, and they use him in some instances and then they slide back to Hunter at the four in some lineups. So I think it's a good sign to see Hunter at 28 minutes in 2 games prior to the break. 4,900 is a really good price coming off really good scoring games. So love to see aggressive DeAndre Hunter at 4,900. I think it's a really good price. Strus is okay if Donovan Mitchell's out. Dude, Herb had quite the game on Thursday. So if there's at all anybody out, um, y'all want to win, get Herb Jones in. Herb Jones is just so good at the game of basketball. Hopefully, first team all defense award coming in his near future. So definitely in on some Herb at 48 if somebody's sitting. What else do we got down here? Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal, 1 rebound shy of a double-double on Thursday. this is probably another game where you see some Royce O'Neal on the likes of Van Vliet or the likes of Dylan Brooks if he has it going, or Jalen Green if Jalen Green has it going. That's what Royce O'Neal was brought in to do. He's brought in to defend and make shots, and he took a lot of shots. He wasn't great on Thursday, but he was again 1 rebound shy of a double double, took double digit shots. So I'd be good getting to Royce O'Neal again, especially without Bradley Beal. That's about it though. Let's go to power forward where Kevin Durant tops the list 9,700 price drop. He was 10K on Thursday. Definitely interested in Durant without Bradley Beal. Definitely need a win after losing on Thursday. Just considering how the rotations again have like panned out for um panned out for the Western Conference, not rotations, but how the standings have played out. So they need Durant to have a big bounce back. Would love Zion if Brandon Ingram's out again. If Zion's playing the second leg of a back to back, Kuzma coming off a monster game against Denver, which, crazy to say, but he did have a monster game against Denver. So if you want to get to Kyle Kuzma, 7,400. He is currently sitting with 33 points, 31 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists in the fourth quarter. So Kuzma for sure. Jalen Johnson has a high ceiling. Even though Clint Capella's back, there's a lot of minutes on the table for Johnson. Really good pace environment for in this Toronto game. Jalen Williams on the second leg of a back-to-back. You can definitely get there, 7,200 against Washington. Under 7. Oh, never mind. Evan Mobley, 7K. Another really good game for Mobley. We saw the minutes, and we are told that the minutes limit would be on the rise. Evan Mobley played 34 minutes now that the minutes limit is gone. So we'll see what he plays in the back-to-back. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks in 34 minutes for Evan Mobley. More than okay at 7K. That is a great stat line. And if there's no Donovan Mitchell, he'll be extremely popular again. Moving below 6K, there's just I know, Memphis is healthy and all, but they just got to play Gigi Jackson, right? 5,200 with everyone healthy isn't the best price tag. But like he's just been so good for them, and where they are in the standings, there's no reason to think that Gigi Jackson shouldn't and will not be extended. So I'm definitely a little bit intrigued. If I'm max entering something, I'm good to get to Gigi Jackson at $5,200. Really, that's probably the only scenario. It's not something I'm really interested in, but 5,200 is fine. Under 5K. So Bruce Brown had a pretty good game off the bench, 25 minutes. Let's see. Did Popcorn Machine, did they update yet? Let's see if we are no, we don't have anything yet. Well, we'll check back tomorrow to see if that was aided by blowout, but he did play 25 minutes off the bench, so that is worth mentioning. Kelly Olynyk 4,700, that's solid. Mention O'Neal. Lamar Stevens probably loses out, but he had been really good prior to with everyone out. Yeah, that looks to be it. So let's finish this thing off at the center spot, where Alperen Şengün at 8,500 tops the list. I mean, pretty good matchup for Şengün. Nurkic is a big dude, not the best defender overall. It would be hard for Şengün to probably stay on the floor for really big minutes if Phoenix decides to go to that Kevin Durant small ball 5 lineup. That would not be great. But 8,500 is a good price. There's tournament appeal. There's tournament appeal for Bam too. Even if Jimmy's back, went with Jimmy back. If there's no hero, I mean, Bam had been really, really good without with the team to himself there. So 8,400 for Bam Adebayo, really good price tag if Tyler Hero sits. Triple J, he's gonna take a boatload of shots. He's gonna lead the team in shots. If he stays out of foul trouble, he's fine. Chet 76, fine. Doesn't doesn't move the needle for me, but I also it's a great spot. He plays low 30s minutes, which obviously isn't the best. I'd rather see him play upper 30s minutes, but low 30s minutes for Chet has a ceiling. Great matchup. So you could definitely get to Chet Holmgren if you want. Jared Allen coming off a decent game. Valanciunas coming off a monster game. If there's no Brandon Ingram, obviously looking towards Valanciunas again is appealing. Jakob Pertl, 6,200. What did Pertl play on the front leg of this back-to-back? Again, it was a blowout, so no one really got full run. Only 26 minutes, 8, 9, 2, 1, and 3 blocks. I mean, solid line for Jakob Pertl. They didn't really play a backup center. It looks like it was Kelly Olynyk as the backup five. Chris Boucher only played 4 minutes. He was dusted off for just 4 minutes. So looks like they were going Kelly O as the primary backup. If Pirtle's going to play 30 minutes, there's appeal. And on the flip side, I guess he's operating under a minutes restriction, but Clint Capela's been operating under minutes restriction basically all year anyway. 25 minutes per game because Onyeka Okongwu has been behind him. So 5,900 for Capella is not bad. 5,500 for Bagley is not bad either. I can get to some Marvin Bagley. Ivica Zubats had his minutes restriction lifted, and centers have been killing Memphis. They're running a Jaren Jackson center lineup, and that's just not good for them. So if Zubats is off the limit and playing a back to back, I definitely have some interest there. Bruno Fernando should operate as the backup center with Okongwu out. So if you want to get to some Bruno Fernando, you can. I think that's it. I don't think there's any min salary centers that we even need to mention. Yeah, so that'll do it for today's show. I guess, yeah, I'll build. Actually, let's build a lineup here. Let us build a lineup. It's super hard to build a lineup, really not knowing who's gonna play. Considering all these back to backs, but with everything that we know, Bradley Beal not expected to play. I said it on the Thursday live stream, and I also said it in the Discord. Royce O'Neal is someone that I'm going to plug here, and I mentioned it on the live stream that this is why they traded him to be a 3-and-D guy, and he played almost 30 minutes in Thursday night's game. So I'm willing to roll it right back with Royce O'Neal as a value. He was 5% owned, had 26 fantasy points. He was a incredibly efficient value play for me on Thursday. So gonna go right back to the well with Royce. What is our spend up situation looking like here? I mean, I really like the Trae Young play. So let's plug Trae Young at point guard, $9,400 against Toronto. What else do we got here? Shooting guard. I mean, without Bradley Beal, like I'm really tempted to just plug some. I didn't mention Gary Trent. Gary Trent also played 30 minutes or so. You could definitely play Gary Trent if you wanted to play him. He played. Let's see. Gary Trent played 31 minutes and had 25 actual points. And jump shooters on back to backs never fun, but he has 4,300 in an elite spot. Let's plug Gary Trent here, 4,300, and we'll pivot if we have to. If there's any news anywhere at power forward, I really like Jalen Johnson. I really like Evan Mobley if he's going to play it back to back. That's probably where we're going to go. We're going to go Evan Mobley 7K. Center, I might shift Mobley here. Could play Zubats at 54. I've loved using centers against Memphis. And Zubats, he has a really high ceiling for a guy who's no longer on a minutes cap. He played on and they got whooped on in the second half of that game. Zubats played 29 minutes, another double double. So let's go Zubats 5,400 again. Pivot if we have to. if he's not going to play. 6,600 for a guard forward utility. Let's see what we got for value. Do we have any clear value? Koulibaly is going to probably start again if they elect to go with that same starting lineup. We have Herbie, obviously, and Trey Murphy, obviously, if there's no Zion or Ingram or McCollum for that matter, whoever sits for that team. I did like Jimmy Butler at 7,700, but we don't know the stat. We don't know the official word. Man, I'm about to play 2 ancillary pieces for Phoenix, aren't I? I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna play. We're gonna play Eric Gordon here, 4,800. Love the minutes on the front end of a back-to-back. We'll see if he plays second leg of a back-to-back. He has been playing back-to-back, so it's not something to really be concerned about. 4,800 for Eric Gordon. So that leaves us 7,500. That could get me to Butler. That could get me to Zion. I don't necessarily see any other. Could play RJB. I do love this game. This Toronto. You know what? We're gonna go Emmanuel quickly. We can go. Is Gordon? We can go Grayson Allen. And we have 7,500 for a util. Jalen Williams. What Jalen Williams here? Jalen Williams. So for the audio listeners, the lineup that was just currently constructed: Trae Young, Gary Trent Jr., Royce O'Neal, Evan Mobley, Ivica Zubats, Emmanuel Quickly, Grayson Allen, and Jalen Williams with $300 left over. That'll do it for today's show. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your NBA DFS live stream here at Fantasy Alarm. And please don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, smash the thumbs up button. It really helps us go a long way in the YouTube algorithms. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.